Okay, we'll be weathering a Hornby hopper wagon. First job really is to remove the wheels and the couplings, because you don't want to get too much paint on the wheels. You do want to get paint on some of the wheels, of course, but you don't want to get paint on the couplings. Next job is to paint the underside with a suitable green-brown paint colour. In this case I'm using a B&Q colour called Chocolate Tort. It's actually an emulsion paint, but it works quite well. But you can use any of the commercial frame dirts or similar colours. Well, it's the green-brown colour, that should be ideal. Mostly browny grey colour. It's just finishing off now, painting the underside of the wagon, because of course some of the chassis colour would come up onto the underside of the wagon, so we're just painting a bit onto the underside of the wagon, the hopper part of the body. Next job is to apply a grey colour, so like a mid-grey towards a dark grey, onto the sides of the wagon. Most of this we're going to remove, but we're going to put a reasonably full coat on at the moment, just to see how it goes on. So sides and the ends, and then we'll clear it off and just leaving the sort of edging around the panels. So we'll just get the most of the colour as thickly as we can onto it, and then just leave it to dry. And now it's dried, we can remove most of the paint with a cotton bud. Slightly dampened cotton bud makes it a bit easier, gives you a bit more. It shouldn't be too much of a fight, and the Hornby finish is quite tough, so it comes off quite easily. You don't want to take it all off, you want to leave some strips. Now we move on to rusting. We're using a burnt umber acrylic paint, and we're dabbing some rust spots onto the side of the wagon, so just to give a generic rust effect onto the side. So we're just stippling it on with a very stiff brush, gives you a nice stippled rusty effect on the sides. So do the same on the ends and slightly on the underside as well. We can also add some patchy rust on a bit later on as well, but this is a good start to give us little small rust patches. Here we're using a product called Rustic. I'm sorry that it's upside down. Town and Country Scenics. It's actually designed for furniture, would you believe? But a small amount of it is ideal wagons, so we're just putting a small bit here and there just to show a bit newer rust. They actually do two colours, a very bright orange rust as well, but that's not so useful. You can use that in very small amounts, but this general sort of brown rust colour is quite good. It's actually got particles in it, which makes it more rust-like really, so it works pretty well. And now we're using, I think it's Old Rust now, from it's an Ammo MIG paint, just to add a few more rust effects on the side. So once again, just little dabs of rust here and there where rust will appear on the wagon. Don't have any particular points, but roughly where the load would hit. We've also got some rust inside the wagon as well, so that will, of course, will be very rusty. You can see the wagon now coming along quite nicely. Most of the rust is on now. You can see the underside quite clearly now. Now we're going to use some Umbral black weathering powder together with some suitable black paint. I've got here some black primer, but any black paint will do. And we're going to mix that together with the weathering powder and make a sort of thick paint which we can use in the bottom of the wagon to make it look like it's had numerous coal loads in it. And also we're going to put a very thin wash of the same colour on the outside as well, just to give us a bit more of a coal colour. But so at the moment we're just going to paint nice and thickly on the inside. It doesn't have to be particularly precise. We can do bits here and there and leave the bit of the rust showing through, because of course the inside of the wagon will be very rusty with the coal and the effects of the weather, etc. would make it very rusty inside. So I'll just make sure we get a reasonable coat on. It will be very it'll end up being very matte finish with the weathering powder, and it gives a certain amount of texture, and also there's a very nice dead matte finish. It's ideal actually with a grey weathering powder with a grey paint. It's always good for loco roofs, that sort of thing, so it's ideal. So we just paint around the edges as well, just the edge of the wagon. Just finishing off that bit now. That's looking near enough covered now. Now what we'll do is we'll put water it down as much as we can, just give it a very thin wash. But very thin wash of the same colour, that's the black with the weathering powders in, on the sides of the wagon, just to indicate the dirt or the coal dust on the sides of the wagon. It'll also cover over some of the rust, so blends the rust in a bit better rather than looking so straight on the wagon and new. It's quite nice to have a bit of a different patina and different finish on the wagons. If it's a bit too thick, not a problem, just add a bit more water, or the other option is just take it off with a bit of a cloth and then start again. But yeah, just don't put on too thick a coat, otherwise it'll end up looking too black. So just gently add a wash on the other side. Right, now we're moving on to the wheels. Just doing the wheels, the centres of the wheels.